Bauer fam, Bruce here. So today we're gonna teach y'all how to smoke a brisket. We're under quarantine right now, so there's not a whole lot to do, not a whole lot to go out and do. And then meat's hard to come by, so we got our big brisket right here. That's gonna be a lot of meals. We're gonna smoke it today. We're gonna eat that for dinner. We're gonna save some for some beans, and we're also gonna freeze some, so we'll have quite a few meals made from just this one cooking event.
So what are you doing, Bruce?
Right now I'm gonna open it up, that way I can cut off all the excess fat and start seasoning it.
So what are your plans with seasoning?
Seasoning, black pepper for sure, and then a brisket rub.
And what's the brisket rub for?
The brisket rub is to help season it and give it a lot of flavor. Whenever you're doing a big piece of meat, don't get the cheapest seasoning you can get. Those have a lot of salt in there, and it's very easy to ruin it with too much salt. So make sure you get a good quality rub. Some of them you can get are real cheap. Fiesta makes a good one. It's probably like $3 bucks. But you can go to like the barbecue shops or meat markets, and they can have some good specialty ones as well. So now we're gonna start cutting off all the excess fat. Briskets are a real fatty cut of meat, but that keeps in all the flavor. So you don't wanna cut off too much. I'm just cutting off the stuff that's real easy to get out because I don't wanna cut any meat and waste it. And then I always like to have my little plastic over there, that way I can dump all the excess trimmings off onto. One of the best tools for barbecuing you can get is a good sharp knife. And always make sure to sharpen it as well. I go to other people's houses and try to barbecue, and they don't have any sharp knives, and that's kind of frustrating. And then you don't want to cut off too much fat, just kind of trim off a lot of the excess. Like this fat's real hard, so we can do without a lot of that.
What kind of knife is that?
This one is a Schmidt Bros, a German knife. It's real sharp. I like the curve to it because it's really good for chopping as well. And I just sharpened it before we got started because dull knives, they require more effort when you cut. So you're putting more force behind it, and if it slips, you're more likely to cut yourself with a dull knife than with a sharp knife. Because the sharp knife, it listens to you. The dull knives, that you put a lot more effort in. What if it slips? And then you're gonna find it with your other hand. Okay, so I just finished the other side. Now we're gonna start on the back. This one is the fat cap. You don't wanna cut off too much fat on here because this is what's gonna help it keep from burning when you're cooking it. This side helps protect the meat and give it a lot of flavor. You can also get briskets that are trimmed. They're a lot more expensive though. So if you do it yourself, you're saving a bunch of money. So now we just finished trimming all the fat off our brisket. Here's all the fat we lost, about a pound right there. But now it's ready to start rubbing. And also these spots right here, those are the spots where I cut too much fat off of it. So when you start seeing the meat coming out, you're cutting too deep. But now let's start rubbing.
So what are you using?
I'm using brisket rub. If you use a good quality rub on these things, don't worry about putting too much. If you use like a seasonal with a lot of salt, you can put too much.
Can you show us the rub?
So it's a brisket rub right here from Fiesta, and then I'm gonna follow it up with some coarse ground pepper, make it somewhat of a Texas style. Lots of pepper.
What is that ground pepper that's right next to your elbow?
That's another one I have. That's also another coarse. It's a different brand. This one was the same price as that McCormick. I'm all about value. Pepper is pepper. You can't really change that. And I was gonna say, one time I made some ribs with some cheap rub. I used some seasoned salt and I seasoned them really good, smoked them for 6 hours. Come time to eat them, I found out why you don't use the seasoned salt or the cheap quality rubs, because it has way too much salt. So I seasoned it just like I normally do, but it was super salty. 6 hours, 2 racks of ribs in, I had to throw them away. And that hurt.
So learn from his mistake, guys.
Yeah, don't do it, because you don't find out till the end.
And that would suck after all the time and money and effort that you put into it. Take your time.
Yeah, take your time, buy the good stuff. If you're gonna cook like a $30, $20-$30 piece of meat, don't get the $2 rub. Don't do it.
And if you have any questions for Bruce, go ahead and reach out to us down below on the comment section. We'll get right back to you guys.
Yeah, and I also do, my favorite types of meat to do is brisket. I don't do it too often because it takes so long. Ribs, I also got those down pretty good, in my opinion. And fajitas and chicken. That's the most things I do the most.
So where did you get this brisket at?
I got this one at H-E-B. Since it's hard to come by meat, I figured I need a big piece of meat that I can make a lot of meals out of. So like this was perfect. And there we go. Half a bottle, gone. Now let's pepper it. I like spicy food, I like pepper. So I'm gonna put a bunch on there. And then whenever you're doing the rub and everything like that, make sure that the longer you let it sit, the better. I know most people recommend doing it overnight, but I wasn't feeling up to cooking last night. I wanted to relax and watch some TV. So I'm gonna do it right now, let it sit for about an hour, start the fire, and then we're gonna throw this on there. And then I'm gonna do a hot and fast brisket. I'm not gonna do the 20-hour smoke like the true barbecue people do. Because at the end, it tastes real close, a lot less effort.
And what is that? What do you do?
So hot and fast brisket. You cook it hot and you cook it fast. Hot and fast isn't really that hot, isn't really that fast, because it still takes about 6 hours. And the pit temperature is about like 300. I'll do that out there, burn the meat, smoke it for about 4 hours. That way I can get that barbecue flavor in there. And then I'm gonna finish it up on the oven. Shh, don't tell people that secret, because they don't know until you tell them. Because if you finish, like when you wrap the brisket and you put it in the oven, it's gonna do the same, it's not gonna take away any flavor as if you would wrap it and do it on the pit. But my pit's small, so it's kind of hard to regulate that temperature for that long smoking process. So I just do it in the oven because that's a lot easier. I just turn it on 350 for hours, no big deal. So there we go. Now we're good. We're all set, rubbed, peppered. Now let that puppy sit and we'll go start the pit. So we're gonna let that meat sit about an hour. That way it absorbs all the rub in there, gets it a little deeper, a lot better taste in the end. So an hour total time. Fire takes about 30 minutes to get started. So we're gonna start that 30 minutes after we finish that rub. So let's get to it. And I already put the charcoal and lighter fluid in here. As you can tell, I was messing with charcoal, having a little fun. And there we go, so it's going. Now we just gotta wait 30 minutes, let that burn down a little bit, and we'll get the meat on there. So guys, the pit is lit, the meat has napped. Let's throw it on. Fat side down first. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna burn it for 2 hours. So I'm gonna cook it hot, rotating it, that way it cooks evenly. And then the next 2 hours, I'm gonna put it on this other side. Fire's right here. This side's empty, just more of a smoking chamber. So I'm gonna cook it on this side 2 hours, and then smoke it 2 hours, and then oven 2 hours. 6 hours, it should be done and ready to go. So now we just wait. So guys, we've already burned it for a few hours. As you can see, it's nice and black and crispy on the outside. It's got a nice char on there. So we're done on this fire side. Now we're gonna go to the smoking side. Another good tip is whenever you're making the fire, it burns down real quick, about an hour. So every time you're opening the pit and checking the meat and flipping it, throwing about 5 to 10 coals in there and just open it up for about 5 minutes. Those coals will catch. That way your fire doesn't die, because you don't want that. That's horrible. So now I moved it. I'm gonna throw in some coals. That way we can keep cooking for a few hours. There we go. We got the coals in. We're gonna let it catch with it open real quick. And then once it's ready to go, about 5 minutes, close it back up and just keep on waiting. So another little trick we have is some smoking chips. Usually you can soak these in water and throw them in there. That way they burn longer and get a good smoky flavor, but it's too much work today. I don't feel that motivated. So I'm just gonna throw them in there. That way it gives it a nice hickory flavor in there as well. More smoke, more flavor. Okay guys, so we just finished smoking everything. It's been on the pit a total of about 4 hours. We're ready to take it out and throw it in the oven. That way it can finish cooking and get tender. So you can see it's nice and charred. Got that smoky flavor. I checked the internal temperature, about 160, somewhere around there. And then we're gonna finish it up in the oven and get it to about 210. And then that'll be nice and tender, still juicy. So only next step I have to do right now is gonna go wrap it, and then it goes in the oven. All right guys, so we just finished wrapping it. It's ready to go in the oven. I got it preheated already to 350. We're gonna drop it in there for about an hour and a half to 2. Just make sure you check it with that meat thermometer so you know when exactly it's done. But just for an hour and a half right now, we're just gonna leave it in there. We'll come check on it in a few. So guys, we just took the brisket out. We got that internal temp to 210. Now we're just gonna let it rest for about 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes. Lets it cool, easier to work with, and it also keeps those juices inside, because you don't wanna lose them out, and then you lose that juiciness in the meat when you're eating it. Smells awesome. So you put the flat side down, which is the lean part, and you put the point up, which is the fatty part. That way you can chop that off first. That way you can get to your lean meat easier. And you'll see like there's a little separation right here from the different parts of the brisket that helps guide you. So there we go. Now that we got that cut off, we'll take it and throw it over here. Now we're ready to cut the lean part of the brisket. Easiest thing to do, flip it over, it's easier to see. And then make sure when you're cutting it, the grains are going this way. Don't cut it that way. That's how you know you're a rookie. We don't want you to look like a rookie in front of your friends. So there we go. So we're cutting it down against the grain, which is the right way. And then we'll show you a piece right here. So we got this one. You can see the pink right around it. That's the smoke ring. And then how do you know if your brisket's good? It bends, but it doesn't break. When it breaks, it's overcooked. So this one is good to eat. So we're gonna get started on eating it right now. Hey guys, thank y'all for tuning into this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below, and we'll see you in the next video. And if y'all ever want other recipes for barbecue, just let me know. I'm more than happy to do it.